I don't know if someone else wants. Yeah, sure.
Well, in the near future, I think there will be models that will help all the involved. You know, the patients or the persons, the stakeholders, the insurance companies, the hospitals, and so we do know now that some behaviors can raise the possibility of you to have a disease. So, you know, when you go to the supermarket, you can have a choice on what kind of food you're going to buy. And some of those elements that you're going to buy, it can harm you. And so, of course, you can say that it's not, you know, you want to keep your freedom and you respect your privacy. But imagine that you are not educated and you receive a message on your mobile phone that you just bought a kind of meat or the kind of product that can harm you. You may think twice. And if you're historical on buying certain foods on your supermarket will give you a higher probability of being healthy, and then you realize that you can have, for example, a discount on your policy. It's disruptive, but wouldn't it be fair that if you have a healthy lifestyle, if you buy the right ingredients and foods on the supermarket, that you can, for example, you can save your money and get a wonderful vacation with your family? That would be, I would say, honest. And, well, it raises a lot of questions, ethical questions, of course, but it gives you the option to get into the system, or you can opt out and stay out of the system, but you have the choice. I think in the near future, insurance companies will work on that, not only with healthcare, but with anything else. So you will have your choice, but probably your choice will cost you more money. And I'm a breast surgeon, so probably you can have different ideas, but I think people that follow and have healthy lifestyles, you have to give them something, because I think they earn for that. For example, the smokers, or everyone knows what gives you harm. So I think in the near future, that will give you an advantage to the system. The insurance company will pay less for your treatments. You will be less sick. Your company will have you working every day and could give you incentives. So you can, if you have hypertension and if you take your pills and if you reduce your weight, you get a discount and you get an extra 5 days of vacations at your job. So I think business model are going to growing up with the possibilities of having a good impact on your life, or a negative one, but then you will choose that side.
If I may, I just would like to add, because in my thinking, I always like to think on the reverse, right? Because you're just mentioning healthy food and everything. And with the risk of having the whole food industry on my neck now, right? When you go to a supermarket, you see very small areas, biological food, right? Biological, right?
Organic, yeah.
Organic, yeah. Bio or organic food. And it's a very small site. And people are saying, well, bio, I mean, is it true or not? But imagine now that people would say, okay, this food on the left is full of pesticides and insecticides, and this is the natural food. How would the mind work of people, right? But it's categorized like, this is the special section for the special people who will kind of weird, right?
Right.
But the others are just sold as normal, right? So there's all of this thinking process of healthy food, etc., that we will have to think through in the future, I believe.
Yeah. I can say something about that, because we 2 months we actually have the approval of the project that calls Protein. So is the main goal is to personalize nutrition to healthy people. So the goal is to go to supermarkets, to go to restaurants, to go home, so to be in touch with the real life context and try to tailor according to the needs and according to different kind of populations and personalize the nutrition. We start here in Portugal with Benfica also, and we start through athletes. because the nutrition and also the way that they, let's say, they formulate their diet is very high. And we have to start with the elite, let's say, group as a healthy, and you touch very well in that situation, because we have to start with healthy. Then the vulnerable populations will arrive. Yeah. But with this model, we construct layers then. So let's start with the healthy, and then we construct layers. Then we have diabetes, we have Parkinson, we have Alzheimer's, as you like. We just have to have the experts in a kind of multidisciplinary, let's say, group, and then we go. So the strategy, I think, is like that. We start with a personalized, healthy people, and then we go with layers and try to, let's say, meet the needs of the different groups. And the other, just to finalize, the other project that we hope to be approved in 2 months, 35 million from a coordinator that's from Israel. The focus and direction is, again, healthy living. The project will call that Healthy Life. So we are very also enthusiastic with that, and there is the meaning behind.
It's very interesting. The other day I was talking with someone that's doing a project here in Portugal on testing on athletes, changing their food to vegan food and showing that they can still be at the top of their game with vegan food. And it's very interesting. The start results are amazing. Sometimes it's even like they go up a notch on the performance. So yeah. By the way, we need a question from the audience. Otherwise, Manuel will launch the microphone, and the guy that catches it will have to say a question.
Also a lady, right?
Sorry?
Also a lady can catch it, right?
Yeah. Sorry. That was.
Now I have a question for Pedro. It's a simple one, not complex. But so I heard about the technology that you mentioned today. I thought it was fantastic. And I'm not familiarized on how this diagnosis is usually done when it's not in specialized clinics. But you also mentioned the difference between the specialized clinics and the common hospitals. So how far are we from having this technology in common hospitals? Is this something that is only done in specific clinics, and we are like 20 years away from having this to regular people? Or what's the stage of this in terms of practicality to be adapted to common hospitals?
Well, this research project that I showed is just a prototype, so it's not available anywhere else. And according to those numbers that I give of an impact on survival with highly specialized breast centers, it's because of the expertise of giving the right sequence of treatments that make patients to live longer. And that's one of the wonderfuls of AI. So now you only get that kind of proposal of treatments in highly specialized centers. In the near future, with AI, so you can find patient similarities, and with expertise, the computer could learn with the doctor's prescriptions, and then see how that will give an impact on survival and quality of life on those patients. So I would say that nowadays the technology is not widespread enough to have an impact on normal people, just like mobile phone has done, democratizing access to communications. But I think in the near future it will come. In European Union, the actual funding for H2020, there are a lot of funding for artificial intelligence and big data projects that are coming out. And then later on they will come with business models, and then they will be widespread to everyone, so that can have an impact on normal patients that don't have access or don't have money to go to those highly specialized centers. So I think in the very close future we will have a good answer to your question.
But if I may, definitely not on your field, but a friend of mine was visiting me, and she was the head of the European breast cancer, and Fondation Champalimaud went to Brussels also to see how the Breast Cancer Institute. In Belgium, finally, they have collected all the information on the statistics of the different hospitals on breast cancer. And I believe there's a big communication to be done, or analysis. I don't know if it exists in Portugal, but you have to correct me now if wrong, but the average, what they told me, of a breast removal was about 2 out of 10 patients. That's what was told to me, right? Belgium is at 5 on 10, so way above the average. But what came out of the study was even worse, is that when they analyzed the different pockets of hospitals in Belgium, some of them were at a 2 out of 10 average, which was the normal, but some hospitals were 8 out of 10, right? And I believe, for example, in that area, it would be good also for Portugal to have the communication. What I don't have an idea what the average. They told me 2 out of 10, right? Of 2. I mean, but then I believe that communication. I think the women should know. You go to this hospital, that's the percentage. You go to that hospital, that's the percentage, because it's a big difference. Yes. And I don't know if it exists, but it would be a very interesting study to do it.
Well, in Portugal there is not, but we have 3 units that have clinical auditing by EUSOMA, which is the European institution that make this process on breast center units. And of course, there are differences all over the European countries, inside each country, so different practices with different outcomes, and definitely patients should have access to that information. Unfortunately, to have that, we need AI, because most of the medical information in the majority of European countries, and Europe, it's not so electronic so far, don't have a way to access that information and to analyze it. And so we need AI to get, to have a data lakes of data from patients, that information to be curated and harmonized, because it's just not connecting the information. We just have to organize it in order to be analyzed, and then to give us insights about what is happening in different countries with different kind of habits, lifestyle habits, and yes, in the near future we will know what is the good centers, so we can have treated over there. For example, the Netherlands does it. So, for example, for inguinal hernias, so all hospitals, as you know, have their results on recurrence. So a patient gets a surgery and later on he has a recurrence. And so when an insurance company hire, for example, 5,000 inguinal hernias, she will look into the hospital. She will pick up the hospital which have the best score. That is done in the Netherlands. I'm not aware of that kind of system is being applied in Europe, but in the near future that will be an honest choice for patients, of course.
Question, yes. There's a...
So, hi. Actually, I think my question is for Sofia or Jim. It's mainly about the mindset, because knowledge is power, but I feel that most people are afraid of knowing. So do you think the greatest challenge is about changing people's mindset, being willing to know and make the difference? And this is for Jim as well, regarding the genome sequencing.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the both, let's say, approach. And as Ricardo mentioned, really, I want to know this. Should I go? He had a delay of 10 minutes to go to the test. So yeah. the text was...
I actually, just to tell the story, I sent... She was pushing, do the test. I sent a message to my wife saying, I'm going to do a Parkinson's test. And she's like, what? So I was like, no, it's just, don't worry. I'm going to test if I have Parkinson's. No, don't take the test. Don't take the test. So, yeah, and she was more anxious than me.
And it took you 10 minutes.
Yeah, and then I was like,
I didn't know this detail, but we were in Vienna, ICT 2018, this event, big event of all over the world, very well known. And actually the test is like this. You go and you text, I'm in Vienna, 2018 conference, and I'm looking to i-PROGNOSIS project, something like this. So the sentence is a few words, you just dot it, send a tweet, and in 10 seconds you'll see your level of bradykinesia, rigidity and tremor. After that, of course, that Ricardo was very relaxed because he
No
had
Parkinson.
0, 1, 0, 0, and 0, 0. So in all the parameters. But actually, I had to push him. I had to push him to do the test. But this is very personal, because for me in particular, I would like to know everything as fast as possible. Because there is the knowledge. So you have the freedom to decide what to do. But then is knowledge. I want to know. It's not like after 1 hour, okay, I can be, let's say, without that knowledge, and I will be, and I don't care if I have Parkinson or etc. So I think is exactly as you say, Sofia, is a way of see life in a way. But for me, is early detection the most interesting thing that we have to be aware, the social awareness again.
Now, the question is, were you in a presence of someone that did the test and showed that they might have Parkinson?
The highest level from 0 to 6 were 3. So actually reached the group of, let's say, Parkinson awareness, potential Parkinson. So in that case, of course, that the suggestion of the app will be, please go to a medical center to guide you that you have these parameters and you have to look at. So you are a potential. It doesn't mean that you are a Parkinson, but you have a potential. So if you set up these parameters, for me it's much better to know this with 35 years old than in 80. I cannot do nothing. And nowadays is the scenario. Just with a 7 or a 60 years old, you have a word from the doctors, let's say, that you have Parkinson, because all the motor symptoms are out, all the non-motor, perhaps depression and things are also out. But it's late, it's very late. So we are working in the next generation, our generation, for our generation. So I think this is the message.
I think just to, there was a doctor with you from, I think, Imperial College,
Yes.
and he was saying, I was asking him how young was the earliest person that really got the case.
So Michael G. Fox, I think he was 38 years old. When was diagnosed with Parkinson. Actually, 35 years old, you can be diagnosed with Parkinson. So
how many
I made
people
my
here
birthday on
more
30.
than 35?
Yes. So
No, nobody. Everyone is very, very young.
I would like
Nobody
to know
wants
this.
to say the age.
A very early stage.
You wanted
Thank
to say
you for
something?
your question.
Yeah.
Let me answer your question. 23andMe offers 2 packages. One is the SAFE package. It's, you want to know about your family history, you join our plan, blah, blah, blah. I took the full package, which includes medical reports. This means that every month I get 1 or 2 emails from 23andMe saying, Jim, people with your kind of genes, specifically the one gene that we know you, Jim, you have. Yes, you, Jim Stolze. Yes, we know that these people are more likely around their 50s to suffer from, click here to find out more. And I know that there are some people who say, Jim, come on, I don't want to know everything. Yeah, you can keep that up for 3 seconds and then you click the link. And then they take you to their secure website, so you have to prove that you're Jim, you're not the victim of mail theft or something. So you log in, and then you get the results and the actionable insights. I actually have made some changes to my diet and lifestyle because of these emails. But I'm a nerd, I want to know. More information is better for me. I respect the fact that some people say, well, you know, I don't care, just when I'm 80, just let me go. The moment that happens to me, that I'm 79 and a doctor comes to me and says, Jim, you have 1 week to live. But I could have told you when you were 44. I said, gee, man, you should have told me. Then I would have postponed this particular moment. So it's a personal choice. And I think much has to do with trust. So the real challenge is not knowledge, it's trust. Do we trust the technology? Yeah. And do we trust the technology nudging us to change these lifestyles that we have.
Yeah.
I would like to comment on that, stating that when you do a test, wherever with an app or a genetic testing or whatsoever, so it's really understand that you have an informed consent about the consequences of that test. So if you have a pregnancy test, it will be positive or negative, and you know the consequence, you're going to be a mother or not. But to the rest, to the apps, to the i-PROGNOSIS or the genetic testing, so you do have to know what are the consequences of a positive test. And you know, when you do a genetic test, it is never negative. The result is inconclusive, meaning that at that point in time, there were no genetic mutations that we know that you may have. Meaning that, for example, patients that have genetic testing 10 years ago, it was inconclusive. They repeated 10 years later, and it was positive. Oh, they made a mistake 10 years ago. No, because it didn't at that time. At that point in time, no one has found it that there was a specific mutation on that gene, and 10 years later you have it. And so it means that not everything you know it will happen. So it's always a game of probabilities. And in the healthcare, you are always counting on probabilities. And so just have an informed consent that your information that you're going to have may or may not have use. And I agree with Jim that for some specific diseases or preconditions, you can change your habits and you may higher the probability of you being okay and at the least to live longer, because that's what you want. You live longer and with quality of life. But once again, you just need an informed consent. On the consumer perspective, in healthcare or in other in the industry, when you do buy something, you just have to be informed about what that it means. That's why, because before you buying a car, you just have to have a driving license, because otherwise you cannot run your car legally at the most.
So I think we're almost at our time, but maybe if Maria, you want to throw again, and let's see. We have. Yeah, sorry.
Watch out!
Far away.
Stop twittering.
Nobody wants to touch. No, wasn't me.
I see that guy with a tie.
Yeah, there's a question there. At the back.
Hi, it's to Pedro. Pedro talked about the failure of the telemedicine, that I didn't know that it has been failed or is in the process of not doing so well as we expected. But what's the difference between the telemedicine and the diagnosed medicine some you had mentioned? Is not going to face the same problems that the patient wants to talk to the doctors and want to personally do the face-to-face thing?
Well, so when you bring out new technology, it will be offered as an option to the patients. Doesn't mean that all patients want to accept that new technology, but when you do have something new, people can have a choice. And if you have an active life, traveling all around the world, you arrive to your place and you have your kids, and you want to pay attention, you have a husband to love, and you want more time, and probably that solution would fit you. Of course, I have the lady, Mrs. Maria Mercedes, that love to be at Champalimaud Foundation, have a chat with me. If it would be possible, she would love to have appointments with me every week, but that is not possible. Nevertheless, if you are on vacation and you have a problem, you would like to reach your doctor, your healthcare provider, to give you access to information or to give you advice on what you have to do to solve your problem, because that is all about, solving problems. So this is just another option that patients can use far away to get different recommendation, and sometimes patients want to come. So at Champalimaud Foundation we have an international patients office, and we offer second opinions. And sometimes when we deliver those second opinions, patients travel to Lisbon to get treated, whether for chemotherapy or surgery or radiotherapy. And so just are giving an option to patients to have a choice, not only which kind of surgery they want, but to have a different recommendation. And yes, telemedicine didn't widespread as we thought, but I think we just need to add something. Just like electric cars, they become fashion because they have now it's possible to do 500 miles instead of 100. So we just give something to the connected care technology so that can have a value and impact to people's life.
So I think we arrived to the end, but we still have, I think, a cocktail at the end. Wow. So it's stay, talk, discuss between yourselves and all the speakers. I think it's very important also this part. I would like to thank everyone for coming here, and thank you all the speakers, and thank you Ageas for hosting us. It was amazing. And I think maybe I'm going to challenge Paulo from Galp so that we have the next chapter at Galp headquarters. In a few months, we'll see. We'll send a date and we'll define a topic. And I hope to see you all there. Thank you so much.